This Saturday, June 24th at 7:30 at the Royal Albert Arms, the TD Winnipeg International Jazz Festival will present Aline, Étoile, Magique. Led by Canadian jazz violinist Aline Homzy, Étoile Magique will present a show that will be sure to entertain audiences and showcase some of Toronto's finest jazz musicians. Aline Homzy herself is one of Canada's greatest jazz violinists. She has worked with the likes of David Occhipinti, Amanda Tossoff, Jake Sherman, and Ed Sheeran. She's performed at venues such as Kerner Hall, Massey Hall, and the Glenn Gould Studio in Toronto, and has been on the jazz festival circuit performing at such festivals as the Toronto, Montreal, and of course, Winnipeg Jazz Festival. And joining me here over Zoom to talk about this Saturday night's performance of Aline Étoile Magique, I am joined by the lead magical star, Aline Homzy. Hey, Aline, how's it going?
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Mm-hmm. I first want to start out by asking, you're looking down the barrel of a very few busy weeks. You're in Regina on the 15th, Medicine Hat on the 22nd, and of course, Winnipeg on the 24th, and then off to Ottawa on the 26th. Are you looking forward to another busy jazz festival season?
I am, yes, and this is going to be my first time leading a band through this tour, so I'm really excited about that as well.
Mm-hmm. How many times have you performed in Winnipeg, or is this your first time?
Well, with this band, it's definitely our first time, but I have been to Winnipeg before, actually with David Occhipinti a few years ago. Yeah, that's how I met the vibraphone player that plays in my band. So it's coming full circle.
um, I have to ask the basic question. How did you get into playing jazz violin? What made you pick that path? I mean, when you think of jazz, you think of saxophone and trumpet. Violin isn't always at the top of the list. Were you inspired by anybody, or was it just a matter of wanting to express yourself?
So it's a combination of a few things. My dad taught jazz studies at Concordia University in Montreal for a very long time. So jazz was always a part of our household. And I think I had a curiosity growing up playing classical music with just, different possibilities of being able to express myself through my instrument, which happened to be the violin. So
Mm.
finding a way to do that through improvising naturally led me to jazz music.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You're going to be performing with your group, Étoile Magique. You say on your website that you recognized the stark and low presence of women in the improvised music scene. Can you talk about how the group came together? And does the group have a very specific mandate or agenda?
Yeah, so basically the group came together because I was awarded a Discovery, I think it's called the Discovery Jazz Projects Award from the Toronto Jazz Festival. And I was awarded the award based on my proposal to present women leaders in improvised music. So
Mm,
I was like, oh, I this is a great opportunity for me to try something new and to put a group together. And yes, the people in my band happen to all be men, but they're all extremely sensitive to those kinds of issues. And I think that makes for, you know, a group where we can trust each other, where I feel safe, where I feel comfortable leading them through my music. And also everybody is there to share ideas. So that's kind of where we are. Yeah.
hmm can you talk a little bit more specifically about who's in Étoile Magique? Who's going to be joining you on stage on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm really excited. So we have Tom Gill, who's the guitar player, Dan Fortin, who's the bass player, who's played in Winnipeg a ton. He plays with Will Bonus's band as well. So he's a regular Winnipeg performer.
Hmm.
We have Marito Marx, who's a great drummer originally from Portugal, and an amazing vibraphone player, Michael Davidson.
Wow, sounds great. Uh, Aline Homzy's Étoile Magique has recorded a CD called Eclipse. It's great. You sent me the tracks. Thanks for those. I love the combination of vibraphone, guitar, and violin. There's this wonderful mixture between those textures. Can you talk about the recording? When was it done? Where was it done? And can you talk a little bit about how the recording process went?
Absolutely. So very thankful to have gotten some support from the Canada Council for the Arts as well as Factor. And this all happened kind of during the pandemic. So it was actually delayed multiple times, but it's kind of a blessing in disguise because it allowed me and the group, like all of us together, to kind of develop some of those compositions a little more with that extra time. So what we did is actually I booked a studio outside of the city in Kingston, Ontario. It's called the Bathhouse. It's where the Tragically Hip would do their recordings and kind of be like their country home where they
Yeah.
would hang out. So we went there for a whole week and just laid down some tracks with my co-producer and engineer extraordinaire David Travers Smith. So it was a really interesting process to be in the studio that way. I've never done that before, just being in one place. I don't think we went outside a single time. Like we were just in this beautiful house in the country, and just really focused on the music. So it was a really amazing experience.
Oh, fantastic. I very often think of jazz as being the epitome of collaborative music. Can you talk about how the group figures out the form of your tunes? It sounds like, based on Eclipse, that it's not straight up playing the head, verse, chorus with a bridge. Can you talk about the rehearsal and collaborative process? Like, how do you figure out the form in rehearsal? How does that process work?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I usually come with sort of like a pretty formed idea of what I want to happen. Um, and it's all written out. But in in that process of presenting it to the other musicians in the band, we discuss, maybe this part needs to modulate, or maybe this part needs to have like this
Mm,
kind of groove, or this part. So it kind of, yeah, it happens all ultimately as a group that we figure out what these kinds of arrangements are going to be like. I think also a lot of us are maybe attracted to different kinds of forms. So, not the typical like head in verse chorus thing, but
yeah,
really
right.
like a development, or like just a unexpected directions, I guess. That's one of my favorite things in music when I'm listening. I love it when, a song takes you on an adventure, and then there's just like this really unexpected turn that happens, and then you're in this different world all of a sudden. I think that's really fun as a listener.
Mhm. When you say it's written out, are portions written out with just chord symbols, and you're letting the musicians just sort of do their thing under those chord symbols? Is that how that's working?
Yeah, it's a mixture actually. So there are some things that are totally written out, counter melodies,
Mhm.
harmonies, and then like really specific, even like chord voicings. And then there are other parts where there are chord symbols where we're improvising parts or improvising solos. And then there's also some parts that have no structure at all. So I don't know if you listen to the piece called Cosmos, but there's
Mhm.
one little section in that piece where we're just making sounds, and the idea was to kind of be in this galaxy world, I guess, of sounds that we're just creating in the moment.
Mhm. So the show is on Saturday night. What can people expect? Is it going to be all tunes from the Eclipse album, or is it going to be a mixture of that and originals and standards? What can people expect on Saturday night?
Yeah, so I'm really excited to present the music from the album from Eclipse, and it'll be mostly that, but there'll be a couple surprises as well. I'm I'm still in this world of figuring out, what show is going to have what surprise, and yeah, so yeah, it'll be a surprise, but mostly the music from the album.
Amazing. I'm going to wrap up the conversation by asking what you hope audiences are going to take away from Saturday night show. What do you hope they'll get out of seeing you and Étoile Magique?
Yeah, so my hope is just to bring, a little bit of joy to people, to bring a sense of community as well. and basically just I just want to take people on this adventure with me and give them a little glimpse into this Étoile Magique world. Um, so I'm really excited to be able to present this music and have an audience, hopefully that, you know, is there to be on this journey with us.
Oh man, sounds great. Aline, this has just been so great to meet you here over Zoom. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me today. All the best on Saturday night. I'm sure it's going to be just amazing. And of course, all the best on the tour this summer. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thank you
Mhm.
so much for having me.
For our Classic 107 listeners, if you go to classic107.com, I've written an article about Aline Étoile Magique and their show this Saturday night at 7:30 at the Royal Albert Arms. I have also embedded a direct link to the page on the Jazz Winnipeg site where you can find out more details and buy tickets. It's going to be a great show. Aline, thanks again.
Thank you.